As a conventional biologist, I held the belief that I was just a mechanism and that my life was just the unfoldment of these molecules. And therefore, I really felt that I was an accident, just as Darwin would have said, that I accidentally got here and I'm an accident in the world. And basically, I was just trying to run my life in the best way I possibly can, figuring that I got dropped into this picture, I'm a machine, I'm here right now, and then at the end, I'm gone back into dust. So make the best I could of what I had.
Bruce Lipton continued his research into the cell. Like most biologists, he accepted the notion that genes control the behavior of a cell, that genes function as the cell's brain. But the results of his research varied so greatly from conventional scientific theory, he began to look for a different mechanism, a mechanism other than genes that controlled the cell.
And about 1985, after about 10 years of seeking alternative mechanisms, one evening all of the information that I had collected for years all came together one instant in time and revealed a truth to me that absolutely blew me away.
On the island of Grenada, where he lived at the time, Dr. Lipton sat up late one night reviewing his research. Around 2 a.m., all of the information he had gathered gelled into a startling revelation.
The exciting part was just before this revelation came, I was working on the understanding of the mechanisms that actually control biology, and I found that by then I already knew that the control was in the skin of the cell, called the cell membrane, which is the equivalent of our skin, in fact, and that I was understanding the mechanism, so I had described the structure and function of the cell membrane, and had come down to 3 different points, bullets about the understanding, and these points were: the cell membrane is a liquid crystal, the cell membrane is a semiconductor, and the cell membrane possesses gates and channels. So I write these down, sit back, and then read this and say, the membrane is a liquid crystal semiconductor with gates and channels. And all of a sudden, my whole life changed, because I said, I've heard this phrase before, but it's not a biological phrase. And I tried to recall, where did I hear this? And there on the left side of my desk was my first computer. And sitting right next to it was a book from Radio Shack, a simpleton book on understanding how my computer worked. And I opened up the book, and on page 3, in the introduction of this book, is a description of a computer chip. A crystal semiconductor with gates and channels. And all of a sudden, it just hit me. I said, the cell membrane is a computer chip. And the cell nucleus, where the genes are, is a hard drive where the genes were programmed. And all of a sudden, it became perfectly clear that the environment was typing on the keyboard, which is the surface of the cell, drawing up programs from the genes to match the environmental signals. So as I perceive the environment, I select genes that will adjust my physiology and my body to meet that perception. The significance? What I believe is what I become.
When Bruce Lipton realized the source of control over his cells came from outside his body instead of inside, it changed his entire perspective of reality and gave him a new understanding of God.
Before this revelation, so to speak, my concepts regarding God and spirit were pretty much like most scientists, and that is that there might be a God, there might be spirit, but it wasn't necessary to invoke them to understand life. So scientists don't necessarily deny there's a God, but really suggest that if there's a God, God's probably busy doing other things, and that life can be understood just by the molecules and the mechanism. But after this understanding, it really revealed that there was much more to me than this physical reality, that there was an energy, a spirit, or a God that was controlling this biology that I was experiencing.
With this new understanding, Dr. Lipton felt he had discovered, in a sense, the secret of life. And his excitement over that discovery brought about dramatic change.
As a scientist, I work in my head doing all kinds of calculations, data, and all the experimental understanding, hypotheses, etc. But by the moment this realization of the mechanism of what actually controls life, when that actually hit me, there was a complete and profound physiological change in my body that I went from my head into my heart. Then the joy was so overwhelming that tears started to well up in my eyes, and I was feeling very choked up all about it. It was interesting because as a scientist, as I said, having been in my head all my life, this entrance into my heart changed my whole outlook and expression of life, and it was so peaceful. And the peace that came over me was, for the first time, I actually saw that I was more than just this body.
For Bruce Lipton, the biology of a cell persuaded him that God exists. we come back.